Hello and welcome to UFC on YouTube. I'm Brent Sherman. This is Tyler Sherman. We're about to predict UFC 126 from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, only on pay-per-view. Let's go ahead and get this down right away with the main card, the bantamweight bout between Miguel Torres and Antonio Benuelos.
All right, here's the deal. Miguel Torres has a lot of experience. Buenuelos, I guess that's how you say his name. 10-3, I believe his record is. He's only had 13 fights, about a third of the fights that Miguel Torres has. Miguel Torres trains with the TriStar team in Canada, and that consists of Kenny Florian, George St. Pierre, Rashad Evans trains there occasionally. He has the team to beat Buenuelos. I think the first part of the fight is just going to be, the regular filling out process, and then Torres is going to strike with authority, and he's gonna TKO Benuelos in the first round. Yeah, TKO.
I have Torres in a round three or round two submission. Sorry about that. But it's going to be a good fight. Next up, we have a welterweight bout between Jake Ellenberger and Carlos Eduardo Rocha, I believe is how you say it. My Portuguese isn't quite up to par, but Tyler, go ahead and break that down for us.
Okay, Jake Ellenberg has had his last two fights have both ended in a stoppage and a TKO, I believe, were the right ones. Rocha just beat Chris McRae by knee bar in Germany at 123. Rocha is a top prospect in the UFC right now with only one fight. So, there's a lot of hype behind this kid already. Um, Jake Ellenberg has a great record. He has experience on his side, but I think Rocha's going to upset him with a submission in round two.
That's going to be an interesting fight. I really think it's going to be an interesting fight. Round three TKO for me for Jake Ellenberger. But here's where we get to the real meat of the sandwich.
Meat.
Yes, very much so. A light heavyweight bout between Forrest Griffin and Rich Franklin. That's kind of hard to say, I guess, for me, but go ahead and break that down for us.
All right, both guys are pioneers of the sport. Um, Forrest Griffin has given us the best fight in the UFC ever in his fight with Stephen Bonner at the Ultimate Fighter 1 finale. Um, Rich Franklin has beat almost everyone from Evan Tanner to Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell was his last fight. He knocked him out in the first round. Both guys have skill sets above many in the UFC. Um, I just think that Rich Franklin hasn't evolved in his team. He hasn't trained with the right team. If he went to a bigger camp, I think he'd be, he'd be close to champion right now. But I think he's on the run to the championship, light heavyweight championship again. I have I have Rich Franklin winning by round three TKO over a tired Forrest Griffin.
That's going to be that's a nice position. I have Franklin by decision. And then we get to the next fight on our card, another light heavyweight match between John Bones Jones and Ryan Bader. And
The master.
what do you think about this one?
Okay, both guys are undefeated. I don't count the disqualification from the 12-6 elbows against Matt Hamill as a loss for John Jones. Um, John Jones trains in Albuquerque, New Mexico with Greg Jackson and company. So he's gonna have everybody helping him. He's gonna be ready for the wrestling. He trains with Rashad Evans. Even Keith Jardine for wrestling partner. But Ryan Bader trains at Tempe, Arizona with Aaron Simpson and a bunch of CB Dollaway, great wrestlers. I don't know. The John Jones hype is getting to me a little bit, but I'm starting to believe in it a little bit more and more and more with each fight that he has. This fight right here will show who is going to be the next champion in the light heavyweight division. Um, I have John Jones winning by round two submission. It was a hard pick for me, but that's what I picked.
I have Bader by decision, and you were talking about how this could be leading up to a championship fight. Do you see one of these two being champion by the end of the year, perhaps?
There's a better chance for Jones to be champion, and I just say that because Ryan Bader's striking. I mean, he's strong and he's quick, but I don't think his striking's up there enough to beat a Shogun Hua. I mean, Rashad Evans, the speed would be too quick for Ryan Bader. And like I was just saying with the last fight, Rich Franklin, I think Rich Franklin would be able to take out Ryan Bader. John Jones has 84-inch reach. 84-inch reach. That is the longest reach in the UFC. That is longer than Brock Lesnar. His reach is it'll be a problem for anybody that he's facing. I believe that John Jones could be champion by the end of the year.
Well, that's albatross territory right there for John Jones, and I'm sure one of these two will really, if not both of them, make a really big name for themselves within the next few years in the UFC. But now we come to the main event of the evening, a UFC middleweight showdown for the championship between Anderson Silva and Vitor Belfort, the challenger. Now, this one's one where you think there could be a caveat in there for Vitor Belfort, but before we go into that, go ahead and tell us what you think of this fight.
All right. First prediction I'm going to say is that I don't know if Belfort will make weight. He had trouble making 195 in the fight against Rich Franklin. Sorry, excuse me. Which I went to. He was going to, but got sick and was not able to attend. But all that aside, I don't know if Belfort will be able to make the weight. If he does make the weight, he's going to be drawn out. He's going to be dehydrated, and I don't see that he'll be 100% for this fight. Anderson Silva. Okay, Anderson Silva absolutely looked untouchable in all his fights, except for his fight against Chael Sonnen. Um, he faced a top level wrestler, an Olympic level wrestler, in Chael Sonnen, and it showed a little bit of weakness in Anderson Silva, but he pulled out the win. Never count against Anderson Silva. Belfort has switched up camps. He went from extreme couture to I can't even think of the name right now, but he's looking at it more of a karate style, being fast in his strikes and avoiding all strikes by Anderson Silva, which I think will screw him up. I think that he just needed to stick with Sean Tompkins and everybody at extreme couture. So Anderson Silva will win by round 4 TKO over a tired, beat up Vitor Belfort.
I have Belfort in a round 1 TKO and a stunning upset, but then again, this is why this guy's the expert. Um, just a little caveat here. Silva goes on and wins this. St. Pierre goes on, and he does his stuff. Catchweight fight between these two probably could be one of the biggest anticipated fights of the year. You could sell at something like Cowboys Stadium. Um, just a little hint out there for
Because
Dana White.
we live in Arlington, so we want to be there.
And the Cowboys hadn't done jack, so we actually want to see a championship in that place. What do you think if it came down to that? What type of fight would we see?
Okay, well, you said catchweight fight. It will not be a catchweight. It will be a 185-pound fight. That's what Dana White has said. If the fight does happen, you have to get Anderson training with every wrestler that you will be able to find that doesn't train with St. Pierre. You have to get his wrestling ready. His takedown defense wasn't good at all against Chael Sonnen. If Anderson goes in training with the top guys that he can find in wrestling and judo and aikido, anything that has to do with takedowns, I see him giving St. Pierre a very difficult time. But in my eyes, George St. Pierre is #1 in the world for a reason. And I think that if that fight took place, I could see there's two ways of it ending for each guy, or well, one way for each guy. Either Anderson Silva TKOs George St. Pierre, or St. Pierre takes it all the way to decision and wins that fight.
I tell you what, there was only one way I'd see that fight, and that's through a plane ticket all the way into the stadium, because that would be the fight of the year to go to.
Yes.
Now, very quickly, because I don't think we have much time, fight of the night in this card?
Fight of the night will be Rich Franklin and Forrest Griffin.
The knockout of the night?
Knockout of the night will be for Miguel Torres.
All right, submission of the night.
Submission of the night, Mike Pierce on the undercard, the first fight of the night by Anaconda Choke.
That's a lot of great fights tonight, and so it's 126 this Saturday on pay-per-view from Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. I'm Brent Sherman.
I'm Tyler Sherman.
And it is good night from us.